The following is a paid commercial program. Unless otherwise identified, guests on the program are employees of or otherwise represent the advertiser. The opinions expressed are those of the advertiser and do not necessarily reflect the views and policies of 630 CHED. You may talk to the experts by calling 780-496-0063. Now your host, Lesley Primeau, on 630 CHED.
Thank you so much for joining us. It's 9:30 in the morning, and that may surprise you a little to hear Talk to the Experts, because in an hour's time, we'll be doing a little broadcast called Oilers Hockey. That's right. Your Edmonton Oilers are in Detroit to take on the Red Wings, and so that game is early today. And our broadcast starts at 10:30, and the game will start at noon. So we'll have that all here on 630 CHED. So Talk to the Experts. It's kind of interesting. Living Sounds is in. Normally, Greg is with us, but he snowed in somewhere. Come on, I thought it was funny. He snowed in, but he has sent a couple of people, and one of them you will know really, really well. So first of all, Tania's here. She's not the one you'll know well. Tania is here, but she's going to be the one who ends up helping you if you stop in at Living Sounds, because she is an audiologist. And returning to the scene of the crime, I was going to say our very own, but he hasn't been our very own, but yeah, he's still our very own. Gord Whitehead joins us. And Gord, of course, morning man for 630 CHED for a gazillion years. Before that, morning man at CJCA, and I'm only telling you that because it's all going to have a bit of a bearing on things that have happened to him. Because we're going to take a look, because I'm surprised and yet not surprised, because I never knew when you were here that you had any concern about your hearing, and yet you have concerns about your hearing.
Well, I got hearing aids about 2.5 months ago, Lesley, and pardon my voice, I woke up with a bit of a hoarse factor this morning. But I knew when I was working here I had a problem. Mm-hmm. We use background monitors in the main control room,
right,
as you do in here. And what that means for the audience, when the microphones go on, the audio dims down, and you're able to hear if it's a phone call or a commercial running or whatever. It's not the same as if you're talking face-to-face like I used to with Brian.
Right.
But I knew that I was having trouble hearing the telephone. So I hadn't worn headphones for years and years and years. But the last 2 or 3 years I worked at CHED, I had to go to a set of earbuds to hear. I was losing too much of the conversation. So that was when I first became aware of the fact that, I remember my mom saying to me when I was a teenager and I'd listen to music loudly, you're going to be deaf before you're 30. And, I held out till I was about in my late 50s. So... but it got worse over the last couple of years. If I was in a setting where, let's say at a cocktail reception or in a restaurant or something like that, I would lose entire pieces of the conversation at the other end of the table, especially female voices. So I knew I had a problem, and I suspected that my problem was in the upper register, as it's, because I understand a little bit about sound. It was higher frequencies that I was missing. And I know Greg Nedelek from Living Sounds through his wife, Rhonda. Rhonda and I have worked very closely on a couple of projects. She's a marketing person. Right. And I was involved in a couple of projects that I got to know Rhonda, so I met Greg. And I actually had a conversation with him, and I said, look, he said, why don't you come in and we'll test your hearing and we'll see. So I went in for a hearing test, and, I had a problem. So
isn't it interesting, though, that even in this little short conversation, you say, well, it was probably 2 or 3 years when I was at CHED, and I noticed that it was going... yet still didn't do anything about it. Then it was, then I was doing some other, and then I noticed it was going, and still didn't do it. And that's what happens to people. We all go, I think I'm losing my hearing, but we don't race out to get it fixed yet. If you said, I can't see anymore, you'd be out to get that fixed.
And that's a conversation that I've had, and I'm sure, Tania, you have this conversation with a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I don't understand that. But part of the process of getting these things was going to this seminar that they have at Living Sounds called The Third Ear. Yeah. And with a terrific lady, Cindy, who is just brilliant with the way that she talks to people that have a hearing loss. And I don't understand that. Yeah, if your knee is bad, you'll go to the doctor and you'll
right away. Right.
If your eyes get bad, you'll get glasses. But for some reason, your hearing seems to be somewhere down on the list. And I know when I saw the statistics, the World Health Organization calls hearing loss an epidemic right now. And there are a lot of people, I know a lot of people, that need hearing aids. And I'm trying to spread the word and say there's nothing to be ashamed of. It is a loss, and you're missing something.
I don't know, because it's got to be vanity, or it's either vanity or we're just lazy. I'm not sure what it is.
I think it's a little of both, and it's maybe an admission, I'm getting old or something, right? The last time I looked, we're all getting older, but I can't begin to tell you the difference that this has made for me and what I hear now that I haven't heard for years.
And Gord, that's the thing, and Tania, you're going to have to jump in here, but you're talking about the World Health Organization saying it's an epidemic. It's got to be that push of the boomers, right? That push of the boomers that listen to noises that were different than our parents ever heard. For you, there must be, if you were to go through your life, there must be a whole sort of list of noises that many people have never heard.
I could list off where my problems started, and I don't want to monopolize the conversation, but when Greg said to me, like, what's your background? He knew I was in radio.
Yeah.
And I think...
We make everybody deaf, just so everybody knows. Yeah.
And I think this was a mitigating factor.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a time when I was in music radio years ago, playing top 40 music, and I used to have the monitors bouncing off the wall.
Yeah.
But and I've always listened to loud music in my car and at home, I love music. But also, I used to hunt when I was a teenager. Nobody wore hearing protection, and you're firing shotguns. I grew up in southern Manitoba. I used to go hunting geese and ducks with my brother. I used to do a lot of pistol shooting, although you did wear ear protection. What else did I used to ride a snowmobile from time to time, which a lot of people do, and I don't know whether they put little plugs in their ears when they do it now. Maybe they do. I worked in a factory for a time where there were corrugated machines that were very, very noisy, real high-pitched, squeaking noises. Never wore hearing protection. I used to drag race with guys, when I was into hot rods and stuff. You'd be working on somebody's car in the middle of the night with no exhausts on them, headers as they're called, and somebody'd fire up an engine and the ground would shake. You have no hearing protection in. All those things cumulatively over the years, Tania, correct?
Right, absolutely.
It all builds up. And it finally got to the point where I realized I had to do something about it. So.
Tania, there must be a lot of people who have not had the life Gord's had, but who also now have gone through many sort of sound or ear-shattering noises that when it happens, they're going, no, I'm sure if you lost your hearing immediately, you might go ask somebody.
Absolutely.
But because you don't, you sort of put it off.
Well, we talked about it being an epidemic, and one of the reasons for that is that hearing loss can really sneak up on you. It kind of happens slowly over time.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, you're having these huge problems hearing, and maybe certain situations, maybe all the time. And a lot of people don't think to do anything about it or even have it checked out until it becomes a huge problem. When one-on-one conversations are very difficult, let alone hearing in background noise with groups of people, those sorts of things. So whether it's noise-related or age-related, it is always important to take that step and come in and get a hearing test done, see where you're at, and if it's at a stage where we can start doing something about it, why not move forward and start hearing better?
They are called hearing aids.
Yes, aids.
Aids, that's right.
Well, Gord mentioning that he worked in music radio for a long time, in our two stations up here, so there's the Ched main control room. Right below is our sister station, Fresh FM, and let me tell you, when they crank up the music, that floor is rolling, and you can be downstairs and go, hey, you guys are going to go deaf, and they all go, right?
Yeah.
Because they're all 20. Right? So they're not going deaf. But we all know it's going to impair their hearing.
But the statistics that Cindy was quoting to me in the third year seminar, 60 is kind of a nice round number for people of the boomer generation like myself that start to notice that they've identified a hearing loss. The thinking is, with today's generation, it might be 30. Because, think about it, Lesley. When we were growing up and you went to a movie theater, you'd go and see Gone with the Wind, pick a movie from the 60s, The Birds. Say. The speakers were horrible. The audio was horrible. Now you go to a theater. In fact, when I went in to get my hearing, my follow-up test with Greg, Tania, you guys, they'll take the hearing aids and they'll analyze what your listening patterns are. The technology is amazing. It really is. It's so small and minute. And he was looking at this graph, and he said, my goodness, what were you doing that night? And we looked at the date, and it was a Friday, and I'd gone to see the Jack Reacher movie.
Oh, okay.
And I had my hearing aids on. It's a loud movie.
Yep.
Really loud movie. And it showed up on the hearing aid. You could see this big spike in the audio pattern. So when you think, Home theaters.
Yeah.
A lot of people have them. They crank the daylights out of them. Car audio. Earbuds everywhere. Everybody's got an iPod.
Everybody's got earbuds.
And I'm telling you, my mom was right. You got to be careful. You got to be selective because it'll catch up to you.
We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about hearing. We're going to talk about what Gord actually heard then, and when he went to Living Sounds, what they heard or what they saw that he heard, and what he hears now. We're going to talk about that and how it affects you. We're also going to talk about they have demo days coming up, and this is we're going to find out. Tania will give us a little bit more detail on that because it's a really nice way for you to find a solution that works for you. I can't encourage you enough. If you're getting up this morning and you're like, what did you say? As soon as you start saying that a lot, maybe you can't hear what they say. Maybe you're not just being selective and rude. Maybe you can't hear what they say. Living Sounds may be a solution for you, and you may finally get back some hearing that you haven't had in many, many years, as Gord did. We'll find out a little more about that. Living Sounds, you can call them anytime, 488-8100, 488-8100. If you go online at livingsounds.ca, they have a lot of information online that you can read. You don't have to hear, but you can read. But if your hearing has become important to you, and it should have probably 20 years ago, find out what's happening. Find out. Don't put it off too long. Living Sounds, 488-8100. Our lines are open if you had a quick question, 496-0063. Let's talk to the experts. You're listening to 630 CHED.
Shop with confidence at Save On Foods. We're priced right. Folgers Classic Roast Coffee, 920 grams. More rewards price, just $6.99. Or Kellogg's Mini Wheat Cereal, 850 grams. More rewards price, only $4.99. Plus, for exclusive offers on products you want, sign up at SaveOnFoods.com. Save On Foods, Alberta proud.
Hey, Albert's family restaurants have been rising and shining since 1959 with great breakfast. And right now, how about chicken sausage and eggs? Just $8.49. And made right here in Alberta, this special chicken sausage is over 5 ounces full of flavor, including a hint of apple, served with 2 fresh eggs and pancakes. But we also have cheese blintzes with fruit, farmhouse scramblers, and Saskatoon berry pancakes. So choose from Albert's fabulous 4. Only $8.49 each, only at Albert's family restaurants.
Hi, this is Wayne Frederickson of Disnat, one of Canada's leading online brokerages. Our clients prefer to invest for themselves. They want personal control of their accounts. They choose our online service because it offers exceptional research, education, and trading tools, and some of the lowest commission costs in Canada. If it's time for you to start making your own investment choices, I invite you to consider our services. Click the Disnat ad at moneytalks.net, and I'll help you get started today.
Disnat is a division of Desjardins Securities, member CIPF.
At your Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, and Ram dealer, hockey season is in your grill. Get the peace of mind maintenance service for just $69.95 or any other eligible service special, and you'll score 4 free branded hockey pucks. Plus, a chance to win limited edition Mopar hockey bags, Easton hockey sticks, and the grand prize, a trip to the MasterCard Memorial Cup Finals. So you save and you score. See dealer for details.
Mopar people, Mopar parts.
Hey, do you own or operate a business? Is your company positioned to hire and retain quality employees in a tightening job market? Get a competitive edge by putting the Alberta Blue Cross Advantage to work for you. Alberta Blue Cross delivers the group benefits employees prefer and the value your business needs, all in one affordable package. See the Alberta Blue Cross Advantage for yourself. Call us today for your no-obligation quote.
Hey, it's available right now, all locations of TR's Tony Roma's, takeout and delivery only, of the famous Family 4-Pack. The best tasting ribs in North America, you bet, but great deals, too. The famous Family 4-Pack is only $23.99. That's just $6 a person. Choose from riblings or barbecue chicken, plus your choice of 2 sides. Takeout and delivery only. Call us at 429-RIBS or visit ribstogo.ca. The famous Family 4-Pack, only $23.99. Just $6 a person at TR's Tony Tony Roma's.
It's the first sign that spring is on the way. Join us for the 33rd Annual Edmonton RV Expo and Sale on now till Sunday at the Edmonton Expo Center. Over 400 different RV models and 14 very motivated area dealers are ready with $50 million in inventory for you to inspect and buy. Explore a breathtaking selection of fifth wheels, travel trailers, Class A diesel pushers, and much more in indoor comfort. Everything is on display and for sale. Join us indoors for the 2013 Edmonton RV Expo and Sale on now till Sunday. Get your tickets at the door or participating Safeway stores.
Keep up to date with Edmonton sports leader. Scores, stories, and more. Live from the Crystal Glass Sports Desk. Every day on Edmonton Sports Leader. 630 CHED. You're listening to a paid commercial program. Unless otherwise identified, guests on the program are employees of or otherwise represent the advertiser. The opinions expressed are those of the advertiser and do not necessarily reflect the views and policies of 630 CHED. Now, back to Talk to the Experts on 630 CHED.
Thank you so much for joining us. This is Talk to the Experts, Living Sounds. We're taking a look. Tania, Gord Whitehead is also our guest. He's kind of a special guest because, of course, he's part of the alum of 630 CHED. We're taking a look at hearing. Some little stats here. More than 1 million adults report having a hearing-related disability. Think about that, a hearing-related disability. And most people, as Tania has said, you don't go in right away because it's kind of gradual. And then one morning you're like, what the, right? And that's what happens, and that's what people look. And most people, for some obscure reason, think that, oh, my God, I can't show anybody I can't hear. I've never understood that. If you can't hear, these are hearing aids. Living Sounds can help you. It's an aid. That's what it is, Gord, an aid.
It's like a cane or a...
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever, yeah. It baffles me. It really does.
Can I add to that?
Oh, of course. Jump in any time.
People, if you're concerned at all about having the hearing aid be visible and people know there's a hearing loss, think about what it's like for them to have to talk to you and repeat everything, 3 or 4 times before you understand. We'll often say the hearing loss is more obvious than the hearing aid.
Ooh, right.
So that's something to keep in mind.
Are you wearing hearing aids now?
Yeah. I got them in.
Really?
Can't tell, can you?
No, like not at all. Like not at all. You could... Oh, okay. Wow, that's really small.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, I have to ask you now. This is good. Okay, so you just took your hearing aid out of your right ear.
Yeah. No, it sounds really funny in here now.
Does it?
Yeah.
Now, when you put
in here. Yeah.
When you put this back in, are you just wearing one on the right-hand side?
One on my left.
Okay, so and now you're going to put this in, and you don't have to reset it, recalibrate, nothing. You just put that in. Over you go.
Yeah.
Still virtually impossible to see.
Well, there's a little plastic.
If I were standing there, that would be one thing.
There's a little plastic tube that runs from the aid to the ear canal. Is that the terminology I'm looking for?
So what do you hear right now that you didn't hear 2 seconds ago?
Well, I can tell you, with the day I got the aids, I was sitting in Greg's office, and he powered them up and put them on me. He looked at me, and he said, okay, what? And I said, I can hear sibilance. And some people may not know what that is. S.
Yeah.
That is sibilance. I hadn't heard sibilance for years.
Wow.
And as I say, because I understand timbre of sound, having worked in this industry for so many years, it was like my world was reborn. Like I hear birds outside now. Which when I wake up in the morning, if the window's open, and I put my hearing aids on, as soon as I put them on, I hear the birds out in the yard. I haven't heard that for a long time. So, is
this the sort of feeling, Tania, that most people have? Like all of a sudden they get to hear sounds they haven't heard in many, many years?
Yep, absolutely. And sometimes it can be overwhelming at first because if the hearing loss has snuck up on you gradually over 20, 30 years, when you put a hearing aid on and those sounds are suddenly back, you forgot you weren't hearing them. I have a number of clients, this is one of my favorites, tell me that they didn't realize their turning signals were clicking. And as soon as they have their hearing aids, and they can hear that click when they're driving their car.
The car sounds way different to me. I hear rattles in the car over there, and all kinds of stuff. Yep. And let me the other thing, it has improved the wedded bliss in the Whitehead household because I had trouble hearing my wife's voice, but not face to face.
Yeah.
But women seem to have this proclivity to talk to men from other rooms. And I used to joke with my wife about it. I'd say, I can't hear you. If I can't see you, I can't hear you. And this was kind of a standing joke. But that's something that's talked about in the third ear seminar, that people with a hearing loss, it's unfair to them to do that because you're putting them at a distinct disadvantage.
Well, just in this half hour before our news break, Tania, maybe you can tell me. So Gord determines finally that he has a concern about his hearing. And Greg from Living Sound says, hey, why don't we just get that looked at? What was his hearing loss? What did you see? What did you find?
Well, with the hearing test that I have here, so Gord's results, where you see that there is up to a severe hearing loss at certain sounds. Now, not everything is affected. He's getting a lot of what he needs for vowels, those bass notes. They're all there. But where the problem is are those S's, the differences between words like sun, fun, and run. And that's one of my other, big factors to look at there. Are you able to hear that difference, the clarity between each of the words, or are things going to start to sound mumbled together? So with this, we found normal, what we call normal sloping to severe hearing loss in those certain ranges, and that is something we're absolutely able to work with. We can absolutely fit a hearing aid just to those sounds where the problems are.
Wow.
And you see, what I would find myself doing, Lesley, if I was in a conversation with somebody, and especially a female voice, because they're a higher frequency,
right?
I'd miss something, and I would be trying to process what I missed. I'd be thinking, did she say? And then I would miss the rest of the conversation. So you almost get into a situation where sometimes people think you're being a little standoffish or something, that you're ignoring them. No, I just couldn't hear what you said. So now that's been eliminated. The embarrassment is gone. I'm working in the retail sector now since I've retired. I'm passionate about wine, so I'm working in a wine store. And one of the things we ask our customers when we come in is their phone number to track their sales.
For sure.
And I'd have to get people to repeat their phone numbers 3 and 4 times. It was embarrassing. And I didn't say I have a hearing problem or a hearing loss, but now I don't have to do that anymore. So and I'm thinking, too, in domestic situations where one of the spouses has a problem, it's awkward. And it's as simple as going and getting a hearing test and getting some help.
Now, when, Tania, it was determined where Gord's loss or impairment might have been, you were able to fit a hearing aid that fixed that, or is it just everything is turned up volume-wise?
Oh, it's absolutely sound-specific. Okay. So, like I was saying earlier, Gord has some very normal hearing at the lower bass ends. We're going to do a hearing aid for him that leaves all that alone, so he has his own natural hearing where it's still good. Where the problem is where we're going to bring up the extra sounds. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's a supplement, it's a prosthetic, it's something that helps where help is needed, but doesn't take away from any of your own natural hearing. Just adds to it.
Kind of has a built-in amplifier and equalizer, I guess is the best way to put it.
Okay.
So it amplifies the frequencies I'm lacking in, and it smooths everything out.
Now, you went to a movie, and it showed on your little sheet that, boing, there was a spike because you were at a very loud movie. Now, what does it do for loud movies? Does it turn them down? Do you turn them down?
Well,
what happens?
Brett did when I went in for the follow-up. He retuned them.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And he said, okay, you're getting too much in this area here, and that could be harmful if if we left it there unchecked and it was loud, you might have a problem. So you will back that down a little bit, kind of smoothed it out, if you will. So I'm going for another follow-up next week, and I'm sure I'll have another little retuning. But everything's good now. I
and you feel comfortable with that?
Oh yeah, I was doing some things incorrectly, which I found. Once I got them, I get up in the morning and I go and put the coffee pot on at home, and I'd sit down and have a cup of coffee and I'd read first thing in the morning. And I wasn't putting my hearing aids on. And Cindy told me, this lady at the third ear, she said, no. You put them on as soon as you get out of bed in the morning. And it really changed. That was when I started hearing the house wake up in the morning. The creaks and groans in the house and things. And I'd hear the water running in the fish tank that I wouldn't have noticed before. So little things. And I know it sounds very simplistic, but they really do change the way you live. That's the only way I can.
You must find then, Tania, that people who are losing sound, their hearing ability, retreat a little. I'm not saying that they lose everything, but they retreat a little. Then if you're not, you're now not hearing the full sound of life.
Absolutely. Personality takes a big part of that. So if you're the kind of person who isn't going to shy away, it might not affect you as much. But many people get to the point where, like Gord was saying, you guess, you feel embarrassed, you're filling in the blanks and getting it wrong. If you're going out to parties or restaurants and you're missing the butt of the joke and you laugh at the wrong time or you don't laugh at all, people can be really embarrassed and just stop going out. They start avoiding those situations so the problem doesn't come up.
We're talking about your hearing. Living Sounds. Let me give you a number because we're going into the news break. 488-8100. 488-8100. If you have a concern about your hearing, find out sooner than later. Don't put it off. You are missing probably the finer points of life. 488-8100. Let's take a break for the news, and then we'll be back with more. We'll find out what it is, where it is, and what's happening on demo sale day. Because on demo day, maybe that's going to change your life. You're listening to Talk the Experts. This is 630 CHED.
It's our most important resource, and every one of us uses it every single day. It's our water and our future. From drinking water to healthy lakes and industrial uses, every Albertan has a stake in how we responsibly use and manage water. And that's why we're talking about it now, having conversations about how we can manage our water to meet everyone's needs. Because water's future is our future. Join the conversation now at waterconversation.alberta.ca. A message from the Government of Alberta.
Now at Sobeys, even more ways to save.
The big deal. Fresh strawberries, 1 pound clamshell, only $1.99 each. Our 3-day sale ends tomorrow. It's Dollar Days. 1 liter Coca-Cola or Pepsi products, 2 for $1. Fresh pork loin back ribs, $3.49 a pound. Fresh white whole mushrooms, 200-gram package, only $1. Warm up to wellness at Sobeys. Look for healthy choices throughout the store.
If you like to drive, you're in luck. The Seniors Assisted Transportation Society of Greater Edmonton, or SATS, is looking for volunteers to drive seniors to and from their appointments. They'll even pay for your gas. Since 2001, SATS has been offering safe and affordable transportation to seniors. Volunteers should be over 18 and have a clean driving record. For more information, visit satsofedmonton.org or call Anna at 780-732-1221.
Hi, you've reached Todd, loan officer at the bank. I'm either away from my desk or busy rejecting another customer's home equity loan. Your business is important to me. Yada, yada, yada. You're a priority. Blah, blah, blah. Leave me a message.
Own your home? Aaron Acceptance can help when the bank won't. If you need a loan, go to getthatloan.ca. Aaron Acceptance.
Thank you for calling Aaron Acceptance.
When you can't bank on the banks.
The news you need. The people you trust. CHED Edmonton, 630 CHED, a Chorus Entertainment station. The news begins right now.
Good morning from the 630 CHED 24-hour news center. I'm Scott C. Bourgeois. 10 o'clock, it's 0 degrees in Edmonton. Impaired driving charges have been laid after an SUV slammed into several vehicles early yesterday morning in the downtown core. Police say one of the struck vehicles was a marked patrol car that had been taking another impaired driver to jail at the time. Acting Staff Sergeant Bill Krull says it was quite the scene.
It's carnage. There's a substantial amount of property damage, especially the parked vehicles. Where he came to rest, he struck one head-on, pushing it back into the other vehicles.
2 officers and a cabbie were shaken up during the incident but only received minor injuries. 25-year-old Chad Nelson has been charged with 4 counts of criminal hit-and-run, dangerous driving, and impaired driving. The Elder Advocates of Alberta Society says it's a troubling case that highlights a need for better protection at seniors' homes, especially in downtown Edmonton. At 6:30, CHED's Thomas Dias reports a man has pleaded guilty to manslaughter and sexual assault causing bodily harm in the death of an 84-year-old woman.
Marvin Woodzani of Edmonton had originally been charged with second-degree murder and aggravated sexual assault in the senior's death. She was attacked back in May of 2011 at the Edmonton Chinese Seniors Lodge. The court was told Woodzani was scared away at first, but would soon return, sexually assaulting the woman in her suite after breaking in through a window at night. The 84-year-old was rushed to hospital with several cuts to her head, passing away 8 days later. Woodzani is expected to be sentenced in April. Thomas Dias, 630 CHED News.
Police in the Economic Crimes Unit say they have at least 10 to 15 victims of a scam that's been making the rounds in North and West Edmonton. An alleged con man is going door to door offering to sell you a very cheaply priced 53-inch television. Lead investigator in the case, Constable Tyler Watt, says he claims he's helping a friend who runs an electronics store that's going out of business. Once he has the cash, he tells the buyer he has to go pick up the TV, will be right back, and then never returns.
And we encourage the public not to be embarrassed. It could happen to anyone. We do encourage them to come forward. I have spoken to people and neighbors of the complainants who said, yeah, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know if I should report it. So obviously we encourage them to fill out a statement, report their losses, and go from there for sure.
44-year-old Dominic Berardi is wanted on warrants for fraud and breach of recognizance. You can see his photo at 630ched.com. Police are resuming the search for a former Los Angeles police officer accused of going on a deadly rampage. Ed Donahue with the latest.
The weather has improved around Big Bear Lake. Snow has moved out. An aircraft may be called in to try to find Christopher Dorner. He's accused of killing a police officer, as well as the daughter of an L.A. police captain and the daughter's fiancé. Officers think Dorner is going after those he blamed for ending his police career. Dennis Pittner lives in Big Bear Lake.
People are at home locked in their house and probably won't come out for a couple more days or maybe even longer.
Police say officers are still guarding more than 40 people mentioned as targets in a rant they say Dorner posted on Facebook. I'm Ed Donahue.
Two big snowstorms are joining forces to create a major storm that's taken aim at Atlantic Canada. Bill Marshall has more.
Forecasters say up to 40 centimeters of snow will fall today on Nova Scotia and New Brunswick, while Prince Edward Island could get up to 30 centimeters. Looks like Newfoundland will get off relatively lightly with up to 25 centimeters by tomorrow. Forecasters say in some parts of Atlantic Canada, the snow will be whipped by winds of up to 100 kilometers an hour. Airlines are preparing by canceling dozens of today's flights at Halifax Stanfield International Airport. Bill Marshall, the Canadian Press.
Checking 6:30 Ched Sports, the Oilers trying to snap a 4-game winless skid this afternoon in Detroit. Winger Ben Eager expected to play. He's been out since the opening game of the season. Oilers and Wings right here on 6:30 Ched with pregame show coming up in about a half hour's time. Puck drops at noon. Checking 6:30 Ched weather. Today, cloudy. There were some flurries this morning. Looks like that's largely wrapped up. We are looking for 60-kilometer-per-hour winds through the day. Temperature dropping off to -1 this afternoon, down to a low of -14 overnight. Sunny tomorrow, a little breezy, but not as bad as today. High of -2, but temperatures will drop to -9 in the afternoon. In Edmonton, it is 0 degrees. I'm Scott C. Bourgeois for 6:30 Ched, Alberta's information superstation.
Albert's Family Restaurants, 13 locations, including Red Deer, Sherwood Park, Vegreville, and shopping centers. Over 5 decades of serving up the best breakfast in Edmonton and area, and a strong supporter of community needs. Come in from the cold and enjoy breakfast with Seattle's best coffee. It's a balanced, smooth, and full-flavored coffee for everyone. And weekends, remember, Saturdays and Sundays, extra special at Albert's, our famous weekends-only Eggs Benny. So welcome to our kitchen, rising and shining since 1959. Albert's Family Restaurants.
Take a seat at a dining set inspired by you and made for you. Canadel, hand-assembled, hand-finished, and made from the finest solid Canadian birch, offers an open palette to your imagination. Come into Dinette and Patio Showplace's newly renovated showroom and save up to 25% off all special orders of Canadel dining sets. The Canadel special order sale is on now, but only for a limited time. So hurry in today to save big at Dinette and Patio Showplace, your indoor-outdoor dining specialist, Mayfield Road and 109th Avenue.
You're listening to a paid commercial program. Unless otherwise identified, guests on the program are employees of or otherwise represent the advertiser. The opinions expressed are those of the advertiser and do not necessarily reflect the views and policies of 630 Ched. Now, back to Talk to the Experts on 630 Ched.
Hey, everybody, good morning. We've got 6.5 minutes after 10 o'clock. This is Talk to the Experts, a little early today. We have hockey coming your way at the bottom of the hour. The pregame starts at 10:30. Edmonton Oilers in Detroit, so that ought to be a pretty good game, I think, this morning. So our pregame starts at 10:30 and the puck drops at noon. So we'll carry that right here on 630 Ched. Can you hear it? Will you be able to hear it? Are you thinking you can hear it? You know, if you can't hear, you may want to continue listening to us. Turn the radio up a bit. We'll see if we can help you with that. Tania is with us from Living Sounds. We're talking about hearing, and somebody not unrelated to the rest of us, Gord Whitehead. Yes, for many
too many
years in radio, but it wasn't just radio that impaired his hearing. Many sounds, and now Gord was saying at the beginning of the program that they used to think by the time you hit 60, maybe that's when your hearing loss would start to show up, but now we're saying 30.
Well, that's what the feeling is, given the fact that we live in a much louder world than we ever have, I think, and a lot more sound around us that's loud. I think that the other thing, though, is, if you're in a job or in an occupation where you are in a loud atmosphere and the signs say hearing protection must be worn, you better wear it.
Yeah.
Because the damage will eventually catch up to you.
Is that something we're seeing a lot of now, Tanya, that places that are noisy are actually saying that?
Yes. Hearing protection wasn't really enforced until, from my clients, what I'm getting is probably about mid to late 80s. And even then, it's sort of sparse. Even today, it can be a little sparse. Employers are suggesting it, they're providing the protection, but it's really up to you to be wearing it and protecting your ears.
Now, Gord determined that he was having some problems a number of years ago, but didn't do anything.
No, and I don't know why. I'll be honest. I don't know why I didn't do anything. I guess it was because I didn't feel it was bad enough, if that's an acceptable answer. I'm sure you've heard that, Tanya. But I knew that there was something wrong. I knew I had a problem. But then when it finally got to a point where I said, okay, I've got to do something about this, and that's what I did. I took action. And that's what I would urge our listeners to do, Lesley. It's the demo days are coming up down at Living Sound, and you get a chance to go down and see. There's a tremendous range of products.
I was going to ask that, because how did you determine what Gord needed, Tanya?
Well, actually, Greg fit Gord with his hearing aids. So basically what we do...
we looked at a couple of options, and they felt this was the best one for me. And
that's the nice thing, Gord, is that at Living Sounds, right, we're going to find something that actually works for you. Yeah. So, Tanya, when somebody else, if you get a dozen people in this afternoon, what works for Gord might not be the best for somebody else.
Oh, absolutely. So there's definitely an art to it. Someone could have the exact same hearing loss and the same hearing needs as Gord, but personal preference, style, just, the way you adapt to the hearing aid, same thing is not going to work for everybody. So we do have quite a lot of variety, quite a lot of choices.
The aids come in
colors.
Different colors. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Colors?
Yeah.
Okay, it's in your ear. You knew that, right?
Well, no, but the piece on the top. The piece on the top. The aid itself.
Yeah,
different colors. I have black hair, so I have black hearing aids.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
The hearing aid body sits behind his ear. It's very tiny, very discreet. Most people don't even notice you have it. It sits right in the hairline. So for Gord, we matched his hair. And no one knows he has it.
I'll eventually end up with gray ones.
Yes, of course. But for you, it's made a world of difference. You're like...
It has. I hear things, I can't... I could go on and on about the different things that I hear. I'll relate this one because my doctor's a character. I was in seeing my doctor, and he was asking me, because he got the report from Greg that I'd got these hearing aids. And he shared with me, although this wasn't the first thing that I would have shared with him, he said a lot of my patients that come in, men, they can hear themselves when they go to the bathroom now. The tinkle, right?
Oh,
it was a frequency that had been lost over time.
Yeah.
And, we laughed about it, and he looked at me, and I said, yeah, you're right. You can. Little things. It's the little things that make such a difference.
More importantly now, what are people, your friends, your compadres, what are they noticing about you?
Most of the guys that I hang out with, I was very upfront about it. I said, look, I finally have hearing aids. And they all went, well, when are you going to put them on? I said, I'm wearing them right now. That's the first thing. And they all the jokes about, well, yeah, now maybe you'll listen to me instead of just ignoring me and all the rest of it. I don't think that, because most of the guys I hang out with, I didn't have trouble hearing men's voices. Because that was in the frequency
because they're lower.
Range. Because they were lower. It was, as I say, female voices was a big challenge for me. I was at a function at Rhonda's office prior to Christmas and talking with a good friend of mine, a lady friend, and I had and it's the office is concrete floors and a lot of concrete walls. It's very live room.
Yeah.
I really had a terrible time. I could not understand what Sandra was saying to me, and by that point I'd already gone for my test. and I was going to get my aids, and I thought this will be something to see when I get them. I can't wait to be in that setting again. And I've since been. I haven't been in a setting like that, but I've been in restaurants where there's a lot of noise. And I had to get some tuning done there, Tanya, because it's stuff you haven't heard for a lot of years. Your brain has to process it, and that's part of the third ear, as it's called. Your third ear is your brain.
Oh, it's your brain. We're going to talk about that in just a moment, but we're talking about Living Sounds. The number to call for Living Sounds, 488-8100. 488-8100. Do not hesitate to pick up the phone and say, help, or stop in and take a look. You can go online at livingsounds.ca. You can get some information, but if you call them, they'll tell you where there's a location near you, and there are a number of locations. So it's not like you'll be traveling very far to find a location near you. Living Sounds, 488-8100. We'll take a break and be back. Talk to the experts on 630 CHED.
And now the Canadian Brew House presents The Champ.
Hey, everybody, it's me, the Champ, from my favorite wobbly pop stop, the Canadian Brew House. And now the Canadian Brew House has Molson Canadian on tap. And like the Champ, there's nothing like being Canadian. My resolution this year, control my temper. But I continue to hear things the wrong way. I may regret what I say. The other night, all I could think about was a cold, frosty tankard of Molson Canadian. So I headed down to the CBH and had a couple of cool ones. They tasted great. Next day, I'm at the bus stop when Nosy Parker pipes up and says in front of everyone, I hear you pounded a couple of Canadians last night. I says, pardon? Mr. Budinsky repeats himself. I hear you pounded a couple of Canadians last night. I head fake him with my birth certificate. He goes for it. I taekwondo for his head with some cross-border chopping. How's that, pal? Is that I heard you pounded a couple of Canadians enough for you last night? Ever since I've been the Champ at the Canadian Brew House.
Let's pay a visit to our friends at XL Furniture. 3 times Consumer's Choice Award winner for home furnishings. We sell all kinds of great products. And what we haven't talked about before, Al, is something called the high leg recliner. This is one where you can kind of mask a recliner in your home decor.
That's right, Gord. You can have fashionable chairs that don't wreck the look with the recliner look, but they happen to recline when you want them to. Very fashionable. These are great for the ladies. They really love them.
So do we have them from different manufacturers as well?
We do, from Lazy Boy, of course, Flex Steel, and even El Ren out of Montreal. They do them in fabrics and leathers, but you really, for the fashionable look, we're doing most of these in fabric.
All right, so when can we come in and take a look at something new for our home decor?
We're here Tuesday through Saturday, 10 to 5:30, and Thursday evenings till 8.
High back recliner, traditional recliner, reclining sofas, end tables, we have them all. XL Furniture, the home of the unlimited lifetime warranty. Drop in and see us. We're at 11349 95th Street.
Your daily dose of wall-to-wall Oilers information and analysis. Oilers Now with Bob Stauffer. Weekdays at noon on Oilers Radio, 630 CHED. You're listening to a paid commercial program. Unless otherwise identified, guests on the program are employees of or otherwise represent the advertiser. The opinions expressed are those of the advertiser and do not necessarily reflect the views and policies of 630 CHED. Now, back to Talk to the Experts on 630 CHED.
We're talking about your hearing. Living Sounds with us. Tania is with us. She's an audiologist. She's an audiologist with Living Sounds. Well, there's a word I can't say. Gord Whitehead returns to the scene of the crime, and he talks about it because after many years of going, he finally decided to go get his hearing checked. And he has, in fact, hearing aids. Now, you got hearing aids, but Tania, one of the key things about them is to make sure they are set. Right? You can't just walk in, get them, and leave and go, yeah, that's perfect now. You want to make sure they suit his life.
Oh, absolutely. So one of the things we always start with is your hearing test, and that's how we decide what you need and have the actual tools we need to fit the hearing aids for you. We fine-tune it, set it up at a stage that's comfortable for you while still doing the job. And then over the span of about 2 months, maybe a month if someone's doing really well, start adjusting the programming based on your lifestyle, see how you've been doing over the past week, and then bring it up from there.
In fact, when I first got them, my prescription was loaded into the aids, and it gradually got there. It over the course of about 2 or 3 weeks. so that it wasn't overwhelming, that I wasn't hearing, kind of, holy mackerel, this is really messing me up. That wasn't the case at all. It was a very gradual process because my left ear was much worse than my right ear.
Really?
Strangely enough, all the years I worked with Brian Hall, and he was on my right side. But no, I think that goes back to the days when I used to hunt and firing guns off because I'm left-handed, and I think that's why my left ear has a greater deficiency than my right ear. But I want to share a story with you. I was saying during one of the breaks, my sister and I were just together recently. My sister was a nurse her whole life. She's now retired, and she's a really bright lady. She pays a lot of attention, takes good care of herself. She read an article which she referred me to that was in the Globe and Mail about a month ago about hearing loss and keeping your brain engaged. So getting your hearing aids, getting your hearing corrected, getting aids, and then doing things as simple as doing the daily crossword puzzle. They've now proven there's a link there between engaging like that and off-putting dementia. Because once your brain goes to sleep, and part of your brain does go to sleep when you have a hearing loss, sometimes you can't wake it back up again. So, you can be doing yourself a long-term favor by getting your hearing checked as well.
Well, if you've suffered a hearing loss and you continue to sort of live that way, your engagement in life must be sort of more and more limited.
Well, how many times have we seen it depicted in film or you hear of it in family situations? Oh, Uncle Bob or Aunt Margaret, they just aren't the same. They don't engage anymore. They're deaf. They need to get their hearing fixed.
Yeah, they're not going to music festivals. They're not going to movies. They're not going to dinner because they can't hear the conversation of 6 people at the table, just the one beside them, et cetera, et cetera.
It's because they can't hear properly anymore.
Who gets to go to demo days? What's happening there?
Well, demo days is something we've been doing for a while. It's always really fun. We bring in, we advertise so people can hear about us, come on in, and what we do is really show you what your options are. And it's an opportunity for you to come in, have your hearing tested, try on a hearing aid model in our office, and see hear exactly what you're missing.
Now, what office is this? All the offices of Living Sounds? Because there's about 15 of you now.
Yeah, all of our offices. We have some of our clinics are out-call clinics. We're not there every day.
Okay.
But the practitioners who do go out to those offices are more than happy to set up appointments for our clients. But our permanent offices, and that's in and around the Edmonton area, including St. Albert and Sherwood Park, we do have scheduled days. We're going to be there from February 28th until March 2nd, and I believe that does include the Saturday.
Okay.
So people can come on in at a time that's convenient for them and go through the process.
And then they can try on some different models and see how it goes.
Exactly.
Now, do people normally, because there can be a frustration level, right? I mean, all of a sudden, if you start to hear the fish tank and you haven't heard the fish tank for a year, you're kind of going, what the is that noise?
Absolutely. So one of the things that Gord had mentioned was starting off low and then gradually building up to prescription. I always show my clients what their prescription is. This is what our research and our data tells us you're missing and what you should be hearing with the hearing aid. And then I turn it down just a little bit, just enough to make it comfortable and say, this is where I'd start you for the first few days, bring it up again after the next, perhaps a week, and bring it up, and try to get to that prescription within the month, if not 2.
So you're working in a partnership with the person who has the hearing loss and Living Sounds.
Absolutely. So Living Sounds treats our clients on an individual basis.
Right.
It's very you-specific, what you need and what's going to help you.
I got to tell you, they're terrific people. I mean, they are so thorough and so professional and fun. I mean, they're nice folks. I go to the main office downtown because that's where Greg is, and we always have a few laughs, and the staff's very.
And now you can hear the punchline. Is that what you're saying?
Punchlines. That's right. Absolutely. Yeah.
We're talking about Living Sounds. If you'd like to find out a little more about the demo days, you can call 488-8100. 488-8100. This is an opportunity for you to find out about your hearing loss and get a hearing aid. This is not because you have some wholesale disability and people will laugh. There are more and more people who need this, and I'm telling you, Gord walked in, I had no idea he was wearing hearing aids. This is so simple and straightforward. You need to talk to somebody who knows what it's like, and trust me, these are not the hearing aids your great-grandmother had. Trust me on this. Living Sounds, 488-8100. We'll take a break and be back. Let's talk to the experts on 630 CHED.
Until closing Thursday, it's a $5 event at Safeway. Take advantage of all the savings, like fresh chicken breasts. They're boneless and club price. priced at $5 a pound. Knorr Sidekicks in the 111 to 167 gram packs are club priced at $5 for $5. And did you know Safeway roses are hand-selected from some of the best ones grown in the world? This week, a dozen roses start at the amazing price of $21.99. Check this week's flyer for all the great savings. That's ingredients for life. Safeway.
Hey, it's available right now, all locations of TR's Tony Roma's, takeout and delivery only, of the famous Family 4-Pack. The best tasting ribs in North America, you bet, but great deals, too. The famous Family 4-Pack is only $23.99. That's just $6 a person. Choose from ribblings or barbecue chicken, plus your choice of 2 sides. Takeout and delivery only. Call us at 429-RIBS or visit ribstogo.ca. The famous Family 4-Pack, only $23.99. Just $6 a person at TR's Tony Roma's.
Hi, this is Wayne Frederickson of Disnat, one of Canada's leading online brokerages. Our clients prefer to invest for themselves. They want personal control of their accounts. They choose our online service because it offers exceptional research, education, and trading tools, and some of the lowest commission costs in Canada. If it's time for you to start making your own investment choices, I invite you to consider our services. Click the Disnat ad at moneytalks.net, and I'll help you get started today.
Disnat is a division of Desjardins Securities, member CIPF.
Shop with confidence at Save-On Foods. We're priced right. Western Family, boneless, skinless chicken breast, filet removed, frozen 3-kilo box. More rewards price works out to just $2.99 a pound. Or Purex bathroom tissue, 15 double rolls. More rewards price just $6.99. Plus, for exclusive offers on products you want, sign up at SaveOnFoods.com. Save-On Foods, Alberta proud. You're listening to a paid commercial program. Unless otherwise identified, guests on the program are employees of or otherwise represent the advertiser. The opinions expressed are those of the advertiser and do not necessarily reflect the views and policies of 630 CHED. Now, back to Talk to the Experts on 630 CHED.
Thank you for joining us. We're talking about living sounds. If you have had some concerns about your hearing, and normally what happens is you've had concerns about somebody else's hearing because you're like, are you not listening to me? And that's what happens, especially, you know, if you're married, etc. You're kind of like, well, do you not listen to me? Do you not hear me? That's when people start to really look at their hearing. But there can be, we're talking with Living Sounds, Tania is going to talk to us just here momentarily about this. There can be some very dangerous sides to not hearing, right? You're not listening. You don't hear cars coming up beside you. You don't hear loud noises in your home. You don't hear things you should hear.
Absolutely. So sometimes if the hearing loss is severe enough, or even in certain ranges, you're not going to hear those warning signals that we want you to hear. You know, the sound of a car coming up behind you, like you said, maybe fire alarms, you know, the alarm system for the security when someone enters your home, things like that, someone coming up behind you when you're walking on the street. Being aware of your surroundings, very important for safety, and we definitely want to make sure that, you know, your hearing is looked at. If there's a hearing loss, we can get you into hearing aids. Make sure you're safe.
Now, hearing aids, when you use them, especially, Gord, for yours, like, are they directional? Are you hearing just in front? Do you hear behind? Do you hear around?
These ones I have, I think, have microphones front and back, right, Tania?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I hear from behind. It's kind of like surround sound, if you will. So, yeah, the turn signal in the car is a great example. I mean, I knew the turn signal was on. I could hear the clicking. Now I really hear the clicking. So it's, I think back to, and the other thing that we should point out, too, is that sometimes the hearing loss is not environmentally caused. Sometimes it's health related.
Right.
You know, anybody that's had sometimes the chicken pox virus. Yeah. I think that's what Cindy, the lady that taught my third year course, she has a drastic hearing loss, but she's had it corrected from chicken pox. And, you know, I had a friend when I was growing up whose mom got the measles when she was pregnant. And Tom was totally deaf in one ear and had a 40% hearing loss in the other one when we were growing up. And he wore this big clunky hearing aid. But, I mean, it can be something like that causes the hearing loss. It's not necessarily that you've abused your hearing over the years. It can be a medical condition that's brought it on. So 1 in 8 people in Edmonton has a hearing loss. That's the
1 in 8 people.
Yeah.
and they can get something done for the most part.
Exactly.
You can assist your hearing by giving Living Sounds a shout. Now, we were talking, Gord's just mentioning there, the big clunky stuff. There's no clunky stuff anymore.
No, they've come a long way.
Yeah.
Most of them are quite small, quite discreet, and that's been the general trend over the past many years, bringing them smaller, more discreet, more fun. We're really addressing the baby boomer generation at this point, offering a lot of extra bells and whistles that are out there. Gord has one with him in the office, in the booth right here.
This little device called the streamer, which is Bluetooth connected, so when my phone rings, it rings in my hearing aids.
That's amazing.
It is, yeah. And I can plug my iPod in here and use my hearing aids as headphones, if you will. And I mentioned, at home, this settles the battle of how loud the TV is now, because I used to hear that all. We could turn that down. Well, now we can set the TV volume for the family, and if I need a little more boost, I can boost it here, and I get the boost. Nobody else hears it. So.
And this is when you're talking about, because now you have many things that you do in your life, and so hearing plays a huge part of what you do.
Oh, absolutely.
Somebody who may not do all that may not need all the bells and whistles, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, again, it's like anything else. I guess there are sort of base models, and then there are supreme models, and all the rest of it, and all points in between. But the thing is, I can't stress this enough. If you think you have a loss, go and get it checked.
Now, remember, the demo days are coming up. I can't encourage you enough to go and try this out. If you have any concerns about your hearing, get a hold of Living Sounds and say, really, I'd like to take part in demo days, because this is a really good opportunity to see what they have and how this could assist your life and bring back a fullness to your life that perhaps you have been missing. Living Sounds, 488-8100, 488-8100. Remember, if you forget that, just call me here at the station and I'll make sure you get it. 488-8100. We're going to take a break here for the news, and then hockey on 6:30 CHED.
The preceding was a paid commercial program. The opinions expressed are those of the advertiser and do not necessarily reflect the views and policies of 630 CHED.